Hello, everyone. Victor Fernandez here. Hope you're all doing well. Uh, I gave it a few days, and I wanted everybody to enjoy getting into the new year and starting 2025, hopefully on the good foot. Uh, but I wanted to, I guess, get back to being real in a way. I that's that. I guess that's what I do. I'm real because I need to be real for myself, if nothing else. But I certainly want to be able to share that with really anyone who'll listen. That's why I do this, each and every day. And what I wanted to share today, what I wanted to be real about today is life is supposed to be uncomfortable. And I'll be honest with you, I was exhibit A as to someone who did everything in his power to remain in his comfort zone. But ultimately, what it comes down to is that believing in my heart of hearts, or at least fooling myself that I believed it, um, you know, didn't make that initial statement, the fact that life is uncomfortable, really any less true. Yet, so many people, and I was guilty of it as much as the next person for many years, will stay in the same unhealthy situation in their life because ultimately, even though they may not like it, they're comfortable with it. It's familiar. It's the old saying, the devil. It's better to deal with the devil you do know than the devil you don't. So people do that. They understand that their life isn't in the position that they want it to be in, but they at least know what's happening at that particular moment in time, whether they like it or not. Doesn't change that fact. And one lesson that I had to learn, and it took me a long time, I'll be perfectly honest with you, is that we need to learn to live in discomfort. When something challenges us, when something pushes us out of what's familiar to us, what's comfortable to us, it forces us to do nothing other than grow. If we don't grow, we stagnate. And I stagnated for many years, and I like this way better, personally. I live with a little bit of fear every day. I tell people, I shared that with somebody the other day, where they're taking the ultimate leap of faith and leaving their steady W-2 job, where they were making good money, and decided to go into business for themselves, scary as can be, and are going to do it anyway. That's where the true growth comes from. That's where becoming the person you want to be comes from. And it means being, faced with things that make you a bit uncomfortable, faced with challenges that make a certain set of cheeks pucker, if you will. And obviously, when in my line of work in the health and fitness industry, that can arise in quite a few different ways. And you have choices along the way. We always have choices as to which direction we choose to go in, which path we choose to take. For example, you know, I get up early to get my workouts in. Very rarely does that not happen. Am I 100% with it all the time? No. Am I 95% with it? Yes. Once in a while, a workout gets done later in the day. But I've also gotten to a point where I know I'm going to do it, whether I want to or not. But for a lot of us, if we don't get up early and get a workout in, the odds grow less and less. They grow slimmer as the day goes on. We have to work out whether we want to or not. We have to, more often than not, choose, to eat healthy, whether we want to or not, whether those around us are doing that. That's the hardest part sometimes. You go out to dinner with friends and they're choosing the burger and fries, and you're so tempted to do the same. Instead, you focus on, all right, what are my healthiest choices here? You're intentional about it. You're consistent with it. You're committed to it. And that's where true success is made. That's where true progress is made. And now that and on the flip side of that, alcohol consumption. I've never told anyone don't drink, because once in a blue moon I have a drink, but that's once in a blue moon. Because I also know what drinking alcohol does to our health and fitness goals. It doesn't help us in any way, shape, or form. And that's something I've actually prided myself on this year. And it's not a huge deal because I don't drink much anyway, but I'm going to go without drinking this year. I just, that's something I've been thinking about. And I said, you know what? Why not? Again, not a huge deal. I don't drink much, but still, that's a big deal. I'm sure there's some out there. An entire year. Yeah. Because my health and fitness is more important to me than having some alcohol, even if it's just a little bit here and there. Will a little bit here and there, cause any problems? No. And I'm not telling you that you need to do that. That's a personal choice you need to make. But that's part of how I'm going to make myself a little more uncomfortable this year. Because there are days when you want one. I am not going to lie. There's days when I want one. Those are going to be the days when I decide I'm not going to. Another aspect of it is the rest and recovery. Is it, again, a choice? Is it important to watch that extra episode of your favorite TV show? Or is it more important to get that extra hour of sleep? I know how I feel when I get a solid 7-8 hours of quality sleep. And I know how I feel when I don't. And again, I prefer the former, not the latter. And the biggest thing, and I've shared the story of, working out in the Vicnasium and having a mother and her young son walk past the entrance, and the son being curious, asking, what I was doing in there. And her response to her son was, don't worry, son, he's just a health nut. You're going to get people who just don't understand why you do it. They just don't. When I share with people some of the things I do, which I don't find to be extraordinary in any way, shape, or form, and they look at me like I've done something extraordinary, and I'm just doing the work. Ultimately, the work is hard. It's supposed to be. That's why not everyone does it, because it is hard work. I tell people all the time, what I do is far from transactional. What I do for a living is far from transactional, because you can't simply hand me money and then watch magically the pounds melt away. It doesn't work that way. So you have to do the work, even when others don't understand or wonder why you do. Because again, what you want to gain out of it and what you ultimately gain out of it stems solely from what you put into it. Again, I wish there was an easy button, as they say. It just doesn't work that way. And again, I'm saying this to remind myself of that as much as it is to remind you. If I speak it out loud, it tends to ring true better within my brain here. But I hope that lends itself to you. I hope, at least one of you takes that to heart and is really going after it here in 2025. And of course, as always, if you need help, I'm here.